little bit about Fluke before we get started on the experiments that we ran. So Fluke is a manufacturing company. We're the world leader in the manufacturing and distribution of electronic test tools. And if you think of electricians, they use our digital multimeters. Utilities industry uses our power quality tools. We manufacture thermal imaging cameras that you can use to troubleshoot and do preventive maintenance within an industrial facility. So we have a lot of industries that we touch and very different vertical segments, and so segmentation is key for us. But our tools, our slogan is, we keep the world up and running. And a lot of the customers that we serve do what we call, as employees, they bleed yellow. They're big advocates. Everyone who owns a Fluke tool believes in the ruggedness and the reliability. And so it's important for us to be able to bring our customers home safe at night. So within Fluke, we do a lot of targeting and segmentation and have experimented with lead scoring in the past. At Fluke, we are a very lean company. We struggled with our behavioral lead scoring models. We had a number of iterations that we went through, and we consistently struggled. We could not find the right mix of implicit and explicit data that we wanted to score our contacts in the right manner. So we decided that we were going to move to a predictive tool and see if we could leverage a platform to help us look at more than just our contacts clicking on our emails. Are they opening it? Are they visiting our website? We wanted to know more about those companies. So we worked with Lattice Engines to get set up with a predictive lead scoring tool. Just a little bit of background about me. I've been in my role for a couple of years now, but when I came into it, I inherited our behavioral model, and it was a mess. It's a constant struggle with our inside sales team to contact the leads that we send over from scoring. They never felt that they were of good quality, so unfortunately, they would do a lot of mass disqualification. They would not even prioritize those leads. It was basically, when we run out of people to call, which will never happen, we'll call those guys. So, when we look at our metrics and, the visual management charts, KPIs, we're producing scored leads, but they're not converting. It's not completely accurate to look at it that way because they're just mass disqualifying these leads. So we decided that we were going to leverage a technology like Lattice to help us with the struggle that we were facing. So probably the biggest issue that we had with the way that our model was set up is that, and again, I inherited this, so don't judge me, but if a contact was sent an email, opened the email, clicked on the email, visited our website, somebody's gonna call you. Single email campaign. So you can see why inside sales wasn't prioritizing those leads. So we were counting all of this double dipping, as we call it. And so we turned to Lattice to help us identify contacts who have actually done all of the things that we want them to do so that we can contact them. So with Lattice Engines, we implemented them into our workflows, and we score all of our contacts in real time. We use the data enrichment tools that they provide, and we're optimizing and completing our contact records with the information that we get back from their systems. And that helps us to route them through nurture campaigns and put them into the right places for us to market to them appropriately. So we implemented Lattice. However, we knew we still had the struggle of convincing our inside sales team that these people were worthy of a phone call. So we decided to have a conversation amongst leadership and just remove inside sales from the process at this time. And that's when we brought in Conversica. So Conversica, has anyone here heard of Conversica before? Is anyone using Conversica? Okay. So Conversica is another AI tool, and what they bring to the table is actually quite unique. They have sales assistants or email bots that will communicate with your customers. And so we thought, we'll bring on Conversica and we will put them into our workflow. So if we score our contacts and they score out high, instead of sending them over to inside sales, we'll pass them over to Conversica and have the bot engage. Makes sense. Now, the goal here wasn't for us to eliminate inside sales from the process completely. We wanted to make sure that what we did send over to them was high enough quality where it was going to be a good quality conversation that would result in a qualified opportunity. The slide up here shows you just a couple of examples of the types of conversations that Conversica can have. For us, this made it really easy for us to implement. They have conversations for inbound leads, and that's the conversation that we selected for our experiment. And I will talk a little bit about our experiment here in just a second. So between these two tools, we have Lattice and we have Conversica. We knew that we needed to personalize this conversation. So we took the data enrichment information that we were able to get from Lattice and the information that they told us about the likelihood that they are to purchase, and combined that with the personalized conversations that our bot can have with those individuals. Her name is Megan, by the way. So Megan had conversations with our audience, and these examples that you see up here are actual conversations between the individual and Megan, our bot. So my proposal to implement, once I learned about these tools, was that we use Lattice and Conversica together, and we leverage the email bot to follow up on our scored leads. So we're gonna run an experiment. We'll see what we can do here with our scored contacts. So we set up processes in our system so that when a contact comes in, they're scored through the model, and we created different scoring models for various products. So a contact comes in, they're scored across power quality tools, they're scored across thermography tools, they're scored across all of these different product lines. So we know the likelihood that they'll convert in those areas, and it helps us have a better, more meaningful conversation with them. So the goal was for us to take the contacts who scored out at an 80 or higher and send them over to Conversica to see if they would convert. It's a pretty fancy slide, but this is just a general workflow of how we implemented Lattice. So we have our inbound leads and contacts. So these are people who came in through social channels, through PPC, they downloaded an asset, watched a video, whatever it was. We add all of those contacts to Eloqua. We then run them across the Lattice cloud and have them scored across all of the different product lines. And then we pass them over to our MS Dynamics system. We create what is called a campaign response. So if it's a hand raiser, they will be considered a qualified campaign response and go directly to our sales team. If they are non-qualified, we would send them over to Conversica and have the bot engage and see if we can get a conversion there. If that doesn't happen, we continue to nurture those contacts and then attempt to recycle again. So then if they engage with the nurture, we can pass them back over to Conversica and see if we can get them to convert. Now, the key thing for us was we're scoring all of these contacts, but we still need inside sales to prioritize them. So what we had them do is look at the Lattice score and prioritize based on the score. So we were passing over anything that was an 80 or higher. So they could choose, if they had a bulk of leads that came in, prioritize the 99 above the 80, but still get to all of them. So with the pilot program that we ran, And believe me, this took a lot of convincing. Whenever you try something new, the teams are always, we're going to lose leads, something terrible is going to happen. I'm not sure about this. So coincidentally, we have a national sales meeting that happens once a year, and that window was my opening to get in front of this. And so I reached out to one of our business units and said, can we try this? No, absolutely not. We're not willing to take the risk. And I said, well, you know, inside sales isn't going to be here for 5 days anyway, so that's really all it took. They agreed that they would run the trial with me, and instead of sending all of our leads over, we experimented with just one channel. So for 5 days, while we had no inside sales coverage, we had all of the PPC leads that came in from an asset download sent over to Conversica. So in the first trial that we ran, during those 5 days, we had 54 contacts that came in, and we generated 9 opportunities. 16% conversion rate. Our inside sales team is currently at about a 17% conversion rate, so not too bad. That was enough for the business unit to say, all right, maybe we could do this again. So we ran a second trial. It was about 3 weeks later. Didn't do anything differently. Everything was the same. We ended up with 95 contacts that came in during that time frame. And we generated 21 opportunities. So 22% conversion rate. Inside sales is at 17. We're at 22. Doesn't look too bad. So business unit was extremely happy, very positive feedback. We even closed a deal from that second trial. So again, everyone's pleased at this point. So some of the things that we learned during this trial were that a lot of the conversions that we saw took place around the 4th and 5th engagement attempt. Our inside sales team, when we pass a lead over to them, they make 3 attempts. These guys are converting on the 4th and 5th attempt. So that's a lesson learned for us. We knew that we needed to change the process in which our inside sales team functions. We also found that people who initially engaged with us in a digital channel were more likely to stay engaged with us in a digital channel. So what's next for Fluke? Our product development team put together what we call our affinity matrix, which basically, if you look at the chart here, it says if I have product C, the likelihood that I also need product D is 91%. So what we would like to do, this is on our roadmap for this year, is to leverage Lattice and Conversica to help us build out our cross-sell upsell campaigns. So what we'll do is we'll leverage the information that we can get from Lattice to help us determine who those contacts are, scoring them across all of the different models to determine the likelihood that they would purchase those products. And then we'll use Conversica and the different types of conversations that they have available to reach out to those individuals and see what we can get conversion-wise.